Grade 8 Math number 13.2b, volume of a cone using a formula. We discussed in the last video a cone is a three-dimensional shape that has a base and one vertex, right here on the top. And the height of the cone is found from the center of the base in the very, very center of the circle. And it's perpendicular going straight up through the vertex. See that? And the radius goes from the center of the circle to the side of the base. The volume V with radius R is 1/3 the area of the base B times the height H. That's how you figure out the volume. Now, I don't want you to get these mixed up. The height of a cone starts in the center of the base and goes straight up into the vertex. Slant height is when you go along the side here on a slant. Slant height is not the same thing as height. Height is perpendicular to the base and goes straight up. Okay, this is later on in geometry. Okay, we'll do slant height later on. Right now, just worry about going straight up and down perpendicular. Okay, so to find the volume of a cone and round the answer to the nearest tenth, we look at the height and the radius. Now this is the formula for the volume of a cone. V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. You remember our volume formulas. We've been doing cylinder, and that's V equals pi r squared h. See, there's no third there. There's no fraction. And this pi r squared is the base, and the h is the height. So now with the cone, we're doing 1/3 of that base times the height. See that? Now, if you saw the last video, you'd really understand the 1/3. If you haven't seen it, you're going to want to go back and see 13.2a, okay? Because we played with some rice and a cone. It was kind of fun. So we have a height of 5 coming straight up in the base, perpendicular, straight up through the vertex, and a radius of 2. I'm going to plug those numbers into our volume formula. So now we've got that the volume is 1/3 times pi times 2 squared times 5. Well, 2 squared is 4. We drop the 5 down. 4 times 5 is 20. Now we've got 1/3 times 3.14 times 20. Well, 3.14 times 20 is 62.8. So now we need to find 1/3 of 62.8. 1/3 times 62.8 is 62.8 over 3, and 3 goes into 62.8 20.93 times. Now it said it wanted us to find it to the nearest tenth. So that 3 at the end isn't important, is it? We can just get rid of that, can't we? So it's 20.9 inches cubed for the volume of this cone. See? And if someone said, yes, but how much would it be if it was a cylinder? You'd know you could multiply that by 3, couldn't you? If it had the same base, radius, and height. Okay, now let's see what happens when we've got the height, but we don't have the radius, we have the diameter, okay? How could you write that as a problem, as an equation? Well, we know the diameter is double the radius, okay? Radius equals d over 2. Radius equals diameter divided by 2. Well, we can put the d over 2 inside parentheses with our square on the outside of the parentheses. Now, why is that square sign on the outside of the parentheses? Well, if we had it on the just on the inside, we'd have d squared over 2. That's a little different. They might think that only the diameter is squared, see? And it's not, it's the whole thing. So by putting this inside, this fraction inside of parentheses and then putting the square on the outside, it's saying we're squaring this whole thing, not just the d. See? Really important, all right? So we can either go one way or the other. We can say that the d is over the 2 in parentheses with the square on the outside, or we can just say, you know, if we're doing side work and you don't have to show your work, you can just divide the diameter by 2 yourself and then use r squared, right? So if they want to see the equation, it would be d over 2 in parentheses with that 2 on the outside so that we're squaring the entire thing, okay? Now, if this is 6 inches, that means the d over 2 is 6 over 2. And 6 over 2 is 3, right? So now we've got 3 squared. We drop the 4 down. 3 squared is a 9, isn't it? And we drop the 4 down again and these down. Now we have 9 times 4, and that's 36. So now we've got 1/3 times 3.14 times 36. Well, What is 1/3 times 3.14? It's 3.14 over 3. And 3 goes into 3.14, 1.047, and it kept going and going. So I stopped there. So now I can do the 1.047 times 36. I could have even have just done 1 times 36 because it said to the nearest tenth, and the 4 tells the 0 to stay the same, doesn't it? So I decided to get a little more accurate, and so I kept my 0.47 at the other side of the decimal, and it did get me a little more accurate. 1.047 times 36 came out to 37.692, and the 9 tells the 6 to round up to 7, to the next biggest number, so I got approximately 37.7. See? And it's approximate because of the pi sign, remember? So you can write the diameter divided by 2 for the equation, or you could do the radius squared, just like in the formula here, see? All right, I hope this was helpful. I always say that in all my videos, and but I do. I really hope they're helping you, and I hope my grandchildren are benefiting from this. So the next thing we're going to talk about in 13.2c is finding the volume of an actual volcano, okay? That might be some fun. I'll see you there. Bye.